first test I did here, I had it mounted on the A6300 with the 70-200 L 2.8. This is the first version, and I was trying to get this thing to connect and it just wouldn't. So I had to reseat the lens. I tried different modes here and I just couldn't get any control over the aperture, so I reseated the lens again, and yeah, it's a pretty finicky thing. So turn the camera back on, and sure enough, still no aperture control. As you can see, there's no f-stop there. So I took the whole entire thing off the camera this time, put it back on the tripod, and here we go. We finally have aperture control. All right, let's do some continuous autofocus. What? The autofocus is grayed out. It's invalid with this lens. I'm like, what? This is supposed to work. So I took the lens back off, reseat the lens, turn the camera back on, and now we finally have continuous autofocus for video. So I'm testing it out here just to see what it can do, and clearly it's not focusing on anything. So I decided to try it in the FN mode, which it's supposed to be in for this camera. Turn the camera back on, and finally we have some focusing action. But as you can see, it's doing this weird like in and out focus breathing, which is kind of making me nauseous, to be honest. So I decided to see if it could focus on the background here, and it did, but as I said, it's going nuts. The image stabilization in the lens is just going all over the place. But it actually did try and focus back to the trees again. But as you can see, it's doing this weird focus breathing thing. Alright, so I decided to try it on the A6000 because it's apparently supposed to work. And sure enough, it actually did. We had continuous autofocus on the A6000, but the weird thing is I needed to kickstart it by tapping the focus ring by hand. Then it finally was able to focus, but it's also doing the same weird jittery breathing in and out focus action. I have it set to the center point autofocus, and clearly it's not focusing on the distance there. Again, if I touch the focus ring, it actually will try and catch focus. So it's like it needs a little tiny kickstart for some reason. It could just be this lens. Maybe this lens doesn't work too well with this adapter, but it is an L lens, and most of the L lenses are compatible with these adapters, but as you can see, it just can't keep a focus lock. So I decided to try it in this other mode, and in this mode it just does absolutely nothing on this camera. It doesn't even try to focus. I'm back in FN mode, and if I touch the focus ring it will focus again, but it does that weird breathing. So I'd probably say that this adapter is not very good for autofocus in video. It's just not reliable and it looks pretty bad. Alright, so let's try some face detection with the A6300. I'm not even going to try it on the A6000, I just wanted to see if it would do it on the A6300. And the face detection box is following my face, but the lens is definitely not doing any focusing at all. I wasn't moving fast, I was just kind of moving around to see if it would actually try and lock on. It's weird that the camera can actually see my face, but the lens just won't focus. This part here where it actually focused was because he adjusted the lens. Alright, so let's try a different lens. We'll try the Tamron 24-70 2.8 just to see if a third-party lens works any better. And when we put it on, for some reason the aperture would only go to f8. So another glitch here. F8 was as low as it would go, so turn the camera on, turned the camera off, and took the lens off and reseated it, and there we go, we got our aperture control back. So again, face detection. The camera sees my face, but the lens doesn't even try to focus. So as you can tell, face detection doesn't work too well. Alright, so I decided to try one more test in photos, and this is continuous autofocus with phase detection on the A6000. Now this is something that the Metabones doesn't have, so I wanted to see what it would be like with this adapter, and it does work. It does have phase detection. I wouldn't say it's the best, but it does work. I also wouldn't say it's very reliable at focusing either. I tried to focus on the water here, and that's obviously out of focus. Tried another one, it's still out of focus. So I tried on this back tree, and you can see it just started hunting and going crazy and just couldn't lock. And this shot is also kind of out of focus. So as you can see from my test results, this adapter is really not that great. And I think that if you're going to buy an adapter like this, you're probably better off spending your money on something like the Comlight or the Photodiox. This adapter is $199 US, and that's before shipping. So I paid a little bit more because I'm Canadian and everything costs twice as much. But yeah, so the adapter came. You heard all my terrible stories with the company that I got it from, and that was actually through their shipping. So don't expect to get good customer service with this thing. And like I said, like if you're gonna spend this money, buy something better. And honestly, if it were me, and it was me that did this, I ended up buying the Metabones for, it's obviously a little bit more money, but you can actually trust it and you know what it's gonna do. So the build quality on this adapter is pretty good. It's all metal, it's got a nice mount, and build quality is not really an issue. The switches seem kind of cheap, but you know, you're probably not gonna change the switch too much. You'll probably just leave it in the FN mode. So I can't really recommend this adapter to anyone. Maybe you've had better results with this adapter, but for me it's not even worth doing the test in photos because I know that the Metabones is so much better. So like I showed on the A6000, it does have phase detection through the adapter, which is something the Metabones doesn't have with the A6000, or at least not yet without a firmware update. So yeah, I would say that it's not really worth getting. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, and if you liked it, thumbs up. If you disliked it, thumbs down twice. See you later.